not a man, no, but I'm just.
You see, I'm looking at you like I need to have a private conversation with you. All right, we have a relationship expert in the house, Tahila. She's a friend of the house, been here before, and she's here to just help us understand it. As an expert, I'm sure there isn't anything she has seen in relationships. So let's hear the dynamics from her and what she has seen and how that has played out. Join us, welcome her to the show. Good morning, Tola.
Good morning.
To meet you. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Great to be here.
All right, you've heard the back and forth between Abimbola and I. Abimbola seemed to like the Cougar kind of, I don't like to use that word, the older woman, younger man relationship. She doesn't mind it. I have a problem with it because that's not how my ancestors.
Oh my God, I love that. Your ancestors.
My ancestors would probably slap my face.
What's going on here? What's going on here?
Wake up and just give me a wank.
Wake up. Where'd you get this from?
Exactly. But here we are. Here we are. It is our reality.
It is what it is. That's where we are now. That's the reality of today.
Right.
But I'd like to ask, who made these rules anyway?
Right.
Because people say, oh, the man has to be older, the man has to be younger, but today I'd like to share a bit of some pros and some cons. But before I do that, I would like to say that how old is too old, really? 5 years? And this is from the angle of the woman here,
okay.
Because it's easier for the man to be older. But I think it's a culture. I don't think I know. It's a cultural context. I'd say it's an African thing. And the reason is because we assume, like parents, the children will be docile, more obedient, willing to submit because their parents are older. Same thing in a marriage. So if the man is older, it's easier for me to, submit or align, But then again, he can be younger and you will still align.
Absolutely.
And a great example, is the workspace. There are lots of people who have supervisors or, bosses that are younger for reasons of, maybe qualitative education, extra certification, and they can't do anything about it. And I hear someone saying, well, that's at work. When I get home, I want to be the kingpin. Like, I want to be Lord of the manor. I want to be Lord of the manor. But, it doesn't have to end in the workspace. If you can handle it in the workspace, then you can handle it at home.
Right.
It doesn't really matter. It reminds me of a song by Aaliyah, of blessed memory, that says age ain't not. Don't give me that look. Don't give me that look. You need to hear me out. You need to hear me out. Okay, so on a serious note, research even shows that the women are more than the men in the workspace.
Ouch.
In religious centers, even in classrooms, the girls are more than the men, except you want people, the female folk, to resign to fate and say, you know what, we're just going to be spinsters, or we're going to be nuns, or we're going to be old maids, we're not going to get married. But if they're going to get married, sister, you need to think about, now seriously think about not just dating, but settling down and marrying someone who is younger.
Right.
Now, for every relationship, there are pros and there are cons. Yeah. We have the Cougars, which you talked about, and I'm not talking. Oh, yes, she did. Okay, so I'm not talking about the animal here,
right?
Even though some of them can be animals here. The Cougar is like a vampire. She's older, and she just wants your young blood. I'm talking to the men here. She wants your young blood. She likes that you're agile and you're virile, and she's happy to shag you, but she's not happy to marry you. Okay, so that's the Cougar. And then on the flip side, you have the Jigolo, the younger man who is going after the older woman because of her network, her friends, her wealth. They want to get something. So those are the disadvantages. But then the pros, the advantages. if you're older, let's say maybe in your 40s or in your 50s, or even if you're less 40s, 30s, and the guy is in his 30s, maybe early 30s, here's the #1 fun fact and a good thing to realize. You may be too old to run after your kids, but he's not. So he'll be able to play with your kids, give them horsey rides, give them back rides, you know, piggybacks, and they're happy. Right. You know, and you don't have to do all the running around. He'll do that for you.
Can you get a nanny to do that?
It's not the same. It's not the same like your daddy doing it for you.
I know. Ramona just doesn't want to hear that side of.
No, but it's, hey, truth is, like I said, the women are more than the men. So something has to give. And then again, if he's bold enough to say, I want to marry you, I know you're older, you know, but I can handle this. And he's mature, because it's a matter of maturity.
Yes.
Absolutely. On both sides.
Absolutely.
On both sides. So if he's mature enough to say, yes, I know you're a few years younger than me, older than me, or 10 years, 15 years.
You've seen that?
I can handle it. And if he says he can handle it, girl,
go for
that is a man right there.
Go for it.
Okay.
Because when
it's not cheap, though.
You know why?
It's not cheap. No. When it comes right down to it, will he be able to handle it?
That's my point. You see, if he says he can handle it, and you see that he can, because the storms of life will blow in marriage, know that you have a rock. Because if he's willing to, you know, not be bothered about the naysayers or what people say, when the storms come, he will be there. Right. That's the kind of man you want.
Many messages you have.
Yes, so many. Let's go.
Let's go.
This one says, age is just a number. Maturity comes from the mindset of a man, not with age.
Exactly.
Okay.
Onyeze says, money to me, age is nothing to me in a marriage. Truth be told.
All right, this one says, good morning.
Lots of women who are saying these things.
They need to get married.
Matt says, growing up, it was a taboo seeing a young man going close to an elderly woman, especially when very old. Today, civilization, love has changed all of that. So, is this about civilization or love?
It's a bit of both. But you see, a man who is willing to say this, who are we pleasing?
Okay.
Who are we pleasing?
You should be yourself.
I mean, it's your marriage, it's you and your husband, not you, your husband, and the rest of the world. So who exactly are we? What's the crux of your marriage?
In Africa, you marry your husband and the rest of the world.
No.
Well, I'm here to put those things.
I know, and somebody just agreed, and I think I need to read that. This is my yellow sister doesn't seem to be comfortable with this discussion. I guess you're from Edo State. They're just
Drop that shade! Drop that shade! But you see,
I'm just not comfortable.
this is the truth of the matter. This is where we are now. This is where we are now. And if the man is willing to do it, go ahead. Because your marriage, you're the one who knows what's happening indoors. So it's not about pleasing people. If he loves you and he's willing to take care of you, you see, the younger men, I'm not trying to throw shades at you now, but younger men are even more open-minded. So they will allow you dream. Okay. They will run with your dream. You're not going to end up in the kitchen, or, you know, you're not going to hear a lot of, so who's going to look after the kids? You're not going to hear a lot of that, because they know that, yes, you have a wealth of experience, but you chose to take this risk. Right. Because it's a risk. You chose to take this risk in spite of stigma or what people would say, and roll with me. So I'm going to let you live your dreams. So I'm not going to be giving you stuff like, so who's going to look at, girl, go chase your dreams. I'll be here.
But at some point in time, can we have a case of insecurity begin to set in? At some point in time, you know, you mentioned, you know, when the storms of life do come in, especially for career women, now who's married or in a relationship with a younger man, at some point in time, do you have to worry about issues around insecurity?
Insecurity
from the man.
Great. The insecurity issues I must say, will not come in marriage. If they were still courting or dating, yes.
Okay.
But as long as he's decided to take the plunge, that insecurity dies.
Okay.
Because he's taken the plunge, he knows this is marriage. I'm in here for the long haul, you know. But the maturity really is on the side of the woman. Because you see, his friends will come. And if his friends are goofballs, you know, she's going to be like... So you have to be a mature woman to be able to handle that.
Let me take this message, Taylor. This man says, having an older woman in a relationship is pretty cool, but the problem we guys are facing from the women sometimes is that they talk harsh at us, and sometimes after getting what they need, say children, but the man, they tend to misbehave towards us, wanting to break the relationship.
You see, break the relationship and not necessarily marriage. And remember I said something about, you know, they're good enough to shag. The younger guys are good enough to shag, but they're not good enough to marry. So what we're talking about, those that are good enough to marry. But as a woman, you must be mature. Emotionally and mentally, you must be mature. Because things will happen. His friends will come and they will act in certain ways, and you'd probably say this is really immature.
Would counseling before marriage take care of that? To help them see the bigger picture, to help them at least preempt a lot of situations that could come.
It will help to an extent, but they must sit down. They must sit down and talk about these things. You know, a good example of what they should talk about is landmark birthdays. So the girl has, you know, she's put pictures all over social media. She's 45 or she's 50, 50 and hot, 50 and, you know, and all of that. And, you know, this guy comes, this man, because in the midst of his colleagues, he's a man. Even if he's 35 and you're 50, he's still a man. You know, so this man comes along, you know, and when he's celebrating his 35th birthday and you guys are married, what's going to happen? Are there going to be pictures? Are you going to celebrate? Are you going to think about what are people going to say when they find out? So these are things you need to discuss. Are we going to celebrate your 40th? Is everybody going to know? Because I already celebrated my 40th like 10 years ago. Right. So are we going to? So these are discussions you must discuss. These are things you must talk about.
Let me take this message. This one says, this issue had always made my husband and I argue because I am 3 years older than him. And we are married for 18 years with 3 older children. But I think I've really enjoyed him, Mrs. Yabode Dire Odukale from Omole.
God bless you, ma'am. God bless you, ma'am. And that's just 3 years. You've got 10 years. You've got 15 years.
It's funny how the pros and cons are more evident and more of... Do you have a caller?
Let's take this caller.
All right, let's take this caller. Hello, good morning.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning. What's your name, please? Where are you calling from?
And, I'm calling from Enugu State, and I actually want to contribute to the program going on the age difference in marriage.
Go ahead, please.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, the truth is that age is not just a number, and in other ways, it's also a number. But the truth in it is, the truth is that, to me, I don't really mind about the age, especially when the age is not too much. I think, I can actually, do with that. But, just saying that it is a cultural thing, like, because we are Africans and Nigerians, you want to think. But the truth is that it's not about cultural thing, because when you answer the right conclusion, you find out that men tend to, women tend to, to age faster, to age earlier than men. And the truth is that you can in the place where you have a woman who you are of the same age bracket, and then sometimes you see by the time you both begin to get to the age of 60, the woman is already 50, close to 60. And the man who look a bit younger, and the woman is already going up track, and sometimes you now have the man. Sometimes he's the kind of man who still loves life and all of those things, and then you now begin to look at people who ask them to look more younger and some of those things. It becomes a factor.
All right.
So it is just natural for that. But I also will not find my those who want to go for women that are older, like me. I mean, the women I actually went to get married to, I mean, just a year older than I. But when you look at the billboard, I mean, you hardly know, but later, I mean, you only over 5 years. People began to notice that this woman actually is older than I. And the reason is because why we're actually thinking is when you see me today, I'm 47. But the truth is that nobody believes that I am up to 40 years old.
Okay.
That is my only.
All right.
I mean, it is something that everybody needs.
It's a personal thing. All right.
You know, listen, you have to be mature for you to be able to go into that.
Okay.
But the main really take that into serious consideration for going.
Thank you so much.
Well done. Well done for keeping good.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
I was going to ask you, because the whole dynamic we've been looking at, and it's funny to me, only the older women, younger men aspect. Meanwhile, there's the older men and the younger women aspect. Yes, it is. Do we have the same pros and cons, the same dynamics, the interplay either way?
We have pros and cons, but they're not as much because society has learned to accept it. And they didn't just learn to accept it, it's what they know. It's what they're comfortable with. So when it's the other way around, that's where we're shaking tables and people are like, what's going on here? What's going on here?
Change.
Change, and change is not comfortable, but it's constant and it's required.
Now this message here is from Niger State, and he says, I prefer older women than younger women because they are more matured, they're more romantic, and at the same time more caring. Age is nothing in a relationship. I'm 30, my wife is 36, and here is another, and I'm planning on taking another one.
Another one?
Okay.
Another one. Another one.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
Let me take this one. I so much like this topic of age difference in relationships. Some time ago, I came in contact with a lady. We both agreed to be in a relationship, but later I found out that she's older than me. But I found it difficult to continue the relationship because I had never thought of marrying someone older than me, and likewise her too, for security purposes and respect.
You see,
he said.
You see, so again, like I said, it's a matter of maturity.
If you can't deal with it, then just
don't do it. Don't do it, because you see, this topic has been swept under the rug for years. Sure. But we need to talk about. Someone has to talk about it.
The most important, one of the dangers of where you start to have problems is when my mother, for example, if you came to her to tell her if I was a guy and I said my wife is 5 years, 6 years older than me, you'd get the look. Should you reveal that aspect, or should you keep it private to both of you? Is that a factor to consider?
That's a beautiful question. That's a beautiful question. And you see, remember that we said there are certain discussions you must have before marriage. So I can't tell you
what to do,
reveal or conceal. I can't tell you that. These are things that you need to talk with your spouse about, or your spouse to be about, you know, and decide, should we reveal or should we conceal? You know, because I must say this, the examples you give, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, 15 years, I think it will work.
This message
will work.
This message may give an answer to this particular one. So this person says, good morning, presenters. She's 4 years older. We've been married for 16 years. We celebrate her birthdays and not mine.
You see? Sometimes he's going to feel bad.
Nothing's stopping me to celebrate mine. I don't care what people say, but she cares about it. So he has decided to respect the fact
I'm not celebrating.
I'm not celebrating
mine,
so that, you know, people don't know what exactly is happening. So
you're enjoying yourself, Bimbo, aren't you?
I'm having a good time.
But you know what? Marriage is about compromise.
Yes.
So sometimes it might just be the woman who says, you know what, honey, you celebrate your birthdays,
and then
you know, we can have something private on my landmark birthdays. And if she looks good, no one even knows there's an age difference.
Right, which is what the last caller said.
Yes,
and
because
women are working hard at it these days.
yes, you see some 50-year-old women and you're like, what?
Sure, you're 50.
Absolutely.
What? You know, so
Absolutely.
if she's looking this good at 50 and someone who's 35 says, I think you're hot, you know, and they get married, there's no problem. Again, I ask, who are we pleasing? Are you pleasing your spouse? Are you pleasing people? Are you pleasing your family? I know someone's asking, okay, what if the woman that I like is like way older and she's, you know, almost as old as my mom? What's my mom gonna say? You know, and the African mom will be like, village people want to get here finally. You know, and like that's it. Yes.
My mother will say you have brought a Lagos girl home.
You know, so you need to also let your mother understand
that this is
our life. Our life. We respect your opinion, we appreciate it, but this is the decision we want to make.
You know, Taylor, I want you to weigh in on this. You know, I've got a couple of friends who say all their lives the only people who have come to ask them out for a date for are younger guys. They just naturally, those are that are attracted to them. Not even they attracted to them. They are the ones who, they're the only people who come to them. Yes, they look good for their ages. But then they want to get married and they'd love to marry someone older, but the older men are not coming as the younger ones that come. What do you say to this class of women who have found themselves in this place where only the toddlers are coming?
Are you for real? Don't go there. But you, sister, God is talking to you. You better be listening.
It's God that is talking.
You better listen. You better listen. If you want to, no, we need to shake this table. If you want to get married, and only the younger ones are coming, that should tell you something. You see, because life is beyond what we see. It's beyond the 5 senses. Do you know that maybe if you marry this younger guy, that dream you've been having that hasn't been fulfilled will happen because this guy's going to push you and say, I believe in you. You can do it. The older man is busy chasing his dreams. He's busy being king of the castle. And I'm not throwing shades, you know, because not all older men are like that. Right. But a majority are in this context, because now we're looking culturally in the African context. Older men, most of the older men are like this. They're busy chasing their dreams, being king of the castle, lord of the manor, take care of the children. I'm going to go get money for us to spend so that I can look good and you can look good beside me. And the younger guy is like, I want us to look good together. And I want to leverage on your wealth of experience. I will use my youth and my vigor, and we're going to make this happen. I mean, that's a winning combo right there.
Right.
That's a winning combo right there.
Okay. Let's end this conversation with Mrs. Olushola Yochi's message. I've been married for 28 years, and I'm 5 years older than him.
Wow.
I respect and love him. To the glory of God, we have grandchildren.
Wow.
It's all about love, not age.
Wow.
Okay. I rest my case.
Maturity.
Came late to class.
Maturity in the mind. In the mind.
Okay, just like you said, Amido Tehila, this is a conversation that we must continue to have because the world is shifting, civilization and a lot of attention shifting away from the norm.
Yes.
And we're beginning to look at what works best for individuals. So it's about pleasing yourself and not pleasing the society, just like you've said. But I have to leave the conversation here.
Yes,
You want to take this one away?
I'm 45 years old. My wife is 52. We had 25 years married with 5 children. We're living a happy home. A lot of your messages are coming. I do hope we'll have time to read a lot more.
See,
this is interesting. Very quite interesting.
People don't talk about it. People hide it because they're like, what would others say?
I I know that we cannot ask Godwin about this.
No. Let's just go.
I hope this table is shattered.
Oh,
finally shattered.
It is.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ila, for coming. We hope that we can continue this conversation sometime very soon.
It will be my pleasure.
Godwin, good morning.
Good morning, Godwin.
Why are you guys scared of me?
Oh, let's just talk sports.
Godwin, you're even worse than I am. Let's not even go there.
Godwin, you're a typical village man.
No, and
You didn't do that, my
so.
brother. You didn't do that.
No, probably so. I like that. When you address me as an unagreeable boy, I'm very, very
Yes,
delighted.
now.
I just reading something, yeah. And some women in Kaduna said it's okay for men to beat us.
It's okay for men to
beat us.
Oh.
Some women in Kaduna.
You don't tell her we'll come back and talk about that some other
some people are comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Oh.
No. Some people.